Hi guys, this is lesson 1-4, example 1. So in these lessons, you're going to learn about cube roots and square roots, obviously. We're going to use a lot of our calculator in order to do this. However, if you know your squares and your cubes, which are just a number multiplied by itself, or two numbers multiplied, or the same number multiplied by itself twice, or the same number multiplied by itself 3 times, then you're going to be very good with these cube roots. The ones that you need to know before you go to high school, square roots you need to know are numbers 1 through 12, the squares from 1 to 12, and the cube roots you need to know are the numbers from 1 to 5. So many times you'll know these without using the calculator, but we're going to use the calculator to help you out with them. So this is example 1, and let's try example 1 just so you can see what's happening.
Think about this question during the lesson. Leah is building a birdhouse for purple martins, birds that prefer cube-shaped birdhouses. She wants to know the dimensions of each square piece of wood she needs to build the 216 cubic inch birdhouse. What do you know about the length, width, and height of the birdhouse?
So what they're trying to explain to you here, guys, is what's really important are obviously squares are just two-dimensional. They are just things that if you draw a square on your paper, you can only see two sides of that. If you draw a cube, then you have a three-dimensional figure. So one thing that we know about squares and cubes is that all the sides are the same, and that's what makes these squares and cubes easy, is that all of their sides are equal.
The length, width, and height of a cube are all equal. We can draw and label this cube to represent the birdhouse. Leah needs a volume of at least 216 cubic inches. The length, width, and height are all equal. We'll label the sides S. The volume is equal to S times S times S, or S cubed. A number that is a cube of an integer is a perfect cube. The number 216 is also a perfect cube. Which of the following is also a perfect cube?
So guys, in order
Select your answer.
in order to figure out which one of these is a perfect cube, I'm going to show you how to use the calculator in order to do this. So if you take your, click on your math tools and go to your calculator, you'll be able to see that we have the square root symbol, which is located right here, and we also have the cube root symbol. So here's your square root symbol right here. Here's your cube root symbol right there. Okay, so when you use those, that just tells you that when you use it, for example, we use the cube root. We want to know what the cube root of a number is. We would use the cube root, and we want to know what the square root it would be for the square root. So when you look back at this and you see the number 4, is the number 4 cube root? So I would go to my calculator, type in cube root of the number 4, and that equals that. So that is not a perfect cube. Remember, we called this an irrational number that would go on forever. Okay, so let's take a look at the next one. The next one is 6. Is 6 a perfect cube? So we would again clear this off and do the cube root of 6. Is the cube root of 6 a perfect square? Here we have another irrational number. This is where it connects to your last lesson. So we're still not there. Let's try 64. So if we go to our calculator and we type in the cube root of 64, oops, I got to clear it off first, sorry. The cube root of 64, we know that the cube root of 64 is equal to 4. So therefore, that's the rational number, which would be the perfect cube. So the side lengths could be 4 by 4 by 4, or 4 times 4 times 4. So we know our real answer is 64.
This symbol means the cube root of a number. The cube root of 216 is equal to the cube root of 6 times 6 times 6, which equals the cube root of 6 cubed. Taking the cube root and cubing a number are inverse operations. So the cube root of 6 cubed is equal to 6. The dimension of each square piece of wood is 6 inches by 6 inches.
So before we start the activity, please remember this, guys. The cube root of 6 cubed When you hear the cube root of something that is cubed, those are opposite one another, and that's why it only equals the number 6. So this is very important to know whenever, especially when you go to algebra next year. You also know that the square root of something that is squared, so for example, if this were the square root of 6, if this right here were the square root of 6 squared, then the squared and the square root eliminate, and they would also just turn into 6. So the activity that you'll have to do here is just place in here 10 times 10 times 10. So we know that the cube root of 10 cubed is equal to 10.
Are there other dimensions that would give a volume of 216 cubic inches? If so, are they answers to this problem?
Well, since there's only 216 cubic inches, and this is a cube, there's only one number that's going to be the perfect cube of that, and that is 6. So there are no other answers to this problem if it is still considered to be a cube.
There are other dimensions of a rectangular prism that give a volume of 216 cubic inches. However, only one set of dimensions makes a cube. So there is only one answer to this problem.
So notice they changed this up to rectangular prism, guys. It's no longer a cube if it's a rectangular prism. So therefore, there are other answers if it were a rectangular prism, but since it is a cube, there is only one answer. So when you finish with that, complete that, go to step 2. This is your triad part, and on your triad part, use your calculator again. So over here, the cube root of 64 on your calculator, we would again do the cube root of 64. That equals 4. So when you go back into here, you know this says 4 times 4 times 4. That's 4 cubed, and the cube root of 4 cubed is going to be 4. Then you would come over here. The length of each edge would be 4 feet. So 4 is your answer for that one. Convince me, how do you find the cube root of 64? Well, you need to find the number that multiplied by itself 3 times will equal 64. On your calculator, you could say that you use the cube root of 64, and that can be written with a text box. So you can pull the text box over here, and you can place a text box right here in order to type in it. Okay, that'll be up to you. I explained that in the first lesson, so you already understand what that is.